Now, a lot of car companies out there have high-end performance tuning divisions which make very fast, high-end performance versions of their standard cars, and this one here is no exception. This is my 2018 Mercedes E63 AMG S, and in today's video I want to take a deep dive into one of the most legendary tuning divisions of any car company, AMG. We're going to get into what this means and what some of the cars that they have produced. My name is Evo and you're watching Got Next. Now, a lot of people know about AMG and know about the legendary cars they build, but nobody really knows what it stands for. What do the three letters mean? Well, in this case, it means Aufrecht, Melcher, Grossenbach. And I am not German, so I probably just butchered that for sure. But basically, the first two letters are of the guys, the two original guys that started AMG in 1967. The last letter is the little small town that they started the company in. But as you guys can see, one thing I really want to focus on is how AMG builds these cars. Now, one thing they're really known for is the one man, one engine moniker. What that means is every AMG that's an actual AMG, not they just put badges on it like some cars do now. But as you can see on top of this car here, there is a plate up there and it tells you the guy that assembled the engine. Basically what they do is from the beginning, when it's just a block, there's one guy or one gal that establishes or builds the engine to the end. They take it from the beginning of the assembly line to the end, and one person builds everything. Pistons, crankshaft, heads, valves, everything gets put on by one person. And I think that adds a little bit of personality to the cars. Not a lot of companies out there can say one guy built your engine. That's pretty special. You don't see that a lot nowadays. Alrighty. I think for us to show you what AMG really is, we should probably drive the car instead of just standing around talking about it. So let's do this. Now, this car uses the Mercedes M177, which is the 4-liter twin-turbo V8. In this car, it produces 603 horsepower, and it is insane. I mean, it gets up and moves. Now, like I said at the beginning, this here is my personal 2018 Mercedes E63 AMG S, and it's no secret that I'm a massive fan of AMG, which, again, in my opinion, is probably the greatest tuning company that is ever merged with another company, or just in general, probably the greatest tuning division of any company. So AMG, like I said earlier, was founded in 1967 by two guys, Aufrecht and Melcher. What their intention was to build basically racing or high performance versions of standard Mercedes cars. The most noteworthy one that they've done in the past, or back in the 60s and 70s, was the Mercedes 600 SEL 6.3 Red Pig. It's known as the Red Pig. It's that big car that they took and they built up the engine and the transmission, and then they turned it into this car that you could take on the racing track, which is kind of insane considering that was basically an S-Class in the 60s and 70s, and they took it and they turned it into a racing division. All throughout the 80s and short amount of the 90s, AMG was a tuning division that was not owned by Mercedes. It was its own separate entity, and they built some crazy cars like the 6-liter Hammer, the SEC60s. They built some insane cars that nowadays are worth north of $500,000 because they're so rare. But they have definitely evolved, because in 1996, officially the first Mercedes AMG merger car was acquired, which was the C36 AMG. In the US, I should say. Now, they've built some cars that have not been in the US, like the C55, the E50 that was on the W210 chassis, the E60, which was part of the W124 chassis. But officially, the first Mercedes AMG car that was part of the merger was the C36, which was built on the W202 chassis. Now, in 1999, the deal finalized and they finally became one company, became Mercedes-AMG. And ever since then, they've built some legendary cars, like my own E55 AMG, the W211. You have other, like the C63, SLS. The SLS actually is its own thing, because the SLS was the first car developed by AMG in-house. And what I mean by that is, before that, they would take regular Mercedes engines. The perfect example is my E55's M113K. They just took the Mercedes M113, which was a 5-liter V8. They stroked it to 5.4 and put a supercharger on it, which is where the K comes from. The K is compressor, which is German for supercharger. But AMG's had some crazy, crazy lineups. I mean, some of the cars that they've built have been absolutely insane. Now, again, it doesn't matter what kind of a fan you are, you got to appreciate the history of this car, of this company that started with two guys that literally just took regular Mercedes cars and tuned them or built them, and then they turned them into, well, this insane looking thing that we're driving now. But let me know down below, what do you guys think about Mercedes-AMG? What's your opinion on them? You know, are you a fan of them, or are you more of a BMW guy and you don't really care about Mercedes? Or do you just appreciate what it is and the cars that they've built? Like I said, I like all of them. I'm sure I'm a little biased towards Mercedes because I've owned a bunch of them. But yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you all so much for watching.